What's up, everyone? This is Tom, the Headhunter Higgins, and in this video I wanted to discuss Northwestern Europe's grappling and wrestling origins and its culture, specifically England, Ireland, Scotland. I've talked a lot about Irish collar and elbow wrestling at length on this channel, so today we'll take a look more at catch wrestling and other styles of wrestling that were from the counties of England. When it comes to straight up wrestling, today its culture is heavily associated with the Caucasus Mountains, Russia, the Middle East. It's very popular in America where we get to grow up wrestling. We can be put into it as kids. We learn it from a very young age. The access to it is widely available all over. And it's just something you don't even think about, really. Your parents put you in wrestling as a kid. You grow up, you have that skill set. And I think that even in most countries, professional wrestling, the fixed kind, WWE, WWF, is extremely popular. Everyone knows it, recognizes it, and that's what comes to mind with wrestling a lot. And with grappling, mostly associated nowadays with Brazil and Japan for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, Jiu-Jitsu, originally all the martial arts that people think to today when it comes to grappling, submissions. But I wanted to focus more specifically on wrestling. And when it comes to submissions and even the pro wrestling aspect, catch wrestling or catch as catch can wrestling, which is mainly from Northwestern Europe, is largely influential on today's grappling. And the origins of prize fighting and professional wrestling really comes from here. England, Ireland, Scotland, the UK, where poor miners and workers, farmers, grunts, all living together in a melting pot, had their own styles of wrestling. They practiced it regularly. Multiple counties and areas had their own style, and they began to influence each other. And there was a lot of mixed style matches where you would compete multiple times under different disciplines against your opponent and see who was the best overall. Some backhold styles, some jacketed styles similar to collar and elbow. And apparently most wrestling was done on the feet or just consisted of takedowns back around this time, 1800s or so. There was not a lot of ground fighting or submissions. It was seen as undignified to be fighting on the ground and wrestling, rolling around on the ground. But there were some counties that began to fight on the ground. Lancashire wrestling is thought to be the ancestor of catch wrestling and one of the original styles that started including groundwork, submissions, pinning, and the practitioners of this style were widely thought to be some of the toughest and best wrestlers in the world. So this area kind of was like a Dagestan or a Caucasus Mountain region when it came to ground fighters, submission wrestlers, or the other styles too when it came to their respective discipline. The Cornish wrestlers, Devon wrestlers, collar and elbow wrestlers, backhold wrestlers. Some of the best athletes of the time were from this region, and that's not something that's really associated with this region at all. Of course, boxing and toughness, and now with the rise of MMA, like, this region is getting some attention. But in its infancy, when wrestling was first starting to become really organized and have set rules, people from this area, from England, from Ireland, Scotland, Cornwall, were considered some of the best wrestlers in the world. And if you even look here, Great Britain in the 1908 Olympics had won the team title and had multiple champions. An Irishman named Con O'Kelly was representing Great Britain because he couldn't represent Ireland in the Olympics back then, and he won a gold medal. Imagine something like that today. You would never associate that or hear something like that someone from England or an Irishman winning an Olympic gold medal in wrestling. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't seen anything in the past however many decades, as long as I've been alive, seen someone representing someone from Northwest Europe in international wrestling competition. It just doesn't happen. The culture is not really there anymore. Catch wrestling stayed alive a little bit, but it's a very obscure and unknown thing overall. Even most grapplers, people who've heard of BJJ and other stuff, aren't even aware of catch wrestling's history, and certainly not some of these other folk styles of wrestling. It used to be a very, very big thing over there. Like I said, some of the best wrestlers in the world were considered to have come from this area. And even when the Olympics were first starting and wrestling was first beginning to get organized internationally and get set standards and rules, still some of the best competitors were from this area. It's not something that continued. Nowadays with the UFC, Conor McGregor, UK MMA, of course, has grown tremendously. The submission grappling game, ADCC and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is starting to get people from Wales, Ireland, UK to start doing really well. So they're definitely returning and catching up when it comes to grappling. But as far as straight wrestling, not jiu-jitsu, straight up wrestling, I think that there needs to be a resurgence. That's why the collar and elbow comeback is something very dear to me. I would love to see this come back. It's something I feel very passionate about. And I think that this history is extremely interesting, especially with how relevant it is to the grappling today. But this side of the story is a bit unknown. So, yeah, there's a very rich history to look into and be proud of when it comes to the influence and history that this region has had on grappling's history. And hopefully you found this video interesting. Hopefully this region of the world will once again become known for its wrestling. And if you guys like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it, follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in the next one.